There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that kindness without strength becomes an invitation for disrespect. You don't lose people's respect in a single day. It disappears slowly every time you tolerate what you should have confronted. Every time you remain silent when your dignity is attacked. Every time you teach others that your boundaries are optional. The world does not always treat you according to your heart. It treats you according to the standards you consistently uphold. A mountain does not demand respect with words. It earns it through its unshakable presence. In the same way, your silence, your discipline, your confidence, and your self-respect become the invisible force that changes how others approach you. Today, you will discover why people stop respecting good people, how true inner strength creates natural authority, and why the greatest power is not making people fear your anger, but making them fear losing access to your respect. Listen carefully, because one decision you make after this message can completely change the way the world sees you. People often believe respect is something that must be demanded through louder words, greater status, or physical dominance. But if you observe nature, you will discover a different truth. The tallest tree does not argue with the wind. The mountain never announces its height. The river never explains its direction. Their presence alone commands attention. Human beings are no different. The strongest individuals rarely need to convince others of their value because their actions speak continuously. Yet many people unknowingly train the world to disrespect them, not because they are weak, but because they continuously sacrifice their own dignity to gain temporary acceptance. The first person who must respect you is the one staring back at you in the mirror every morning. If you ignore your own principles, if you repeatedly break promises to yourself, if you constantly tolerate behavior that hurts your peace, then your mind begins to believe that your own needs are negotiable. Once that belief settles inside you, your behavior changes without you realizing it. You begin apologizing for existing. You hesitate before expressing your opinion. You become afraid of disappointing others while constantly disappointing yourself. This silent habit slowly teaches people that your boundaries can be crossed without consequence. Respect is not created by forcing others to admire you. It grows from consistency. Every decision you make tells the world who you are. When you keep your word, even when no one is watching, you strengthen your identity. When you refuse to betray your values for temporary comfort, your confidence deepens. Confidence is not loud, it is calm. It does not seek attention because it already knows its worth. Many people confuse kindness with endless tolerance. They believe being a good person means accepting every insult, every manipulation, every form of disrespect. But kindness without boundaries becomes self-neglect. Imagine leaving the front door of your home open every night. Would you blame strangers for walking inside? Of course not. You would recognize that the absence of a boundary invited the behavior. The same principle exists in your relationships. Every time you excuse repeated disrespect without consequence, you silently communicate that it is acceptable. This does not mean becoming aggressive. It means becoming clear. There is enormous power in calm certainty. The individual who speaks less but stands firmly behind every word becomes unforgettable. They do not argue endlessly. They do not chase people who misunderstand them. They simply allow their standards to speak louder than their emotions. One of the greatest reasons people lose respect is because they desperately seek approval. Approval is addictive because it offers temporary comfort. Every compliment feels like proof of your worth. Every criticism feels like an attack on your identity. As long as your confidence depends on other people's opinions, your emotions remain under their control. Someone can elevate your mood with praise and destroy your peace with a single insult. This is not freedom, it is emotional dependence. Real strength appears when your identity is built from within. Clears throat when someone criticizes you unfairly. You no longer panic because you already know who you are. When someone refuses to appreciate your effort, you continue anyway because your purpose is greater than their opinion. This kind of stability makes people think twice before attempting to manipulate you. There is another silent habit that weakens respect. Explaining yourself to everyone. Many people feel the need to justify every decision they make. They explain why they said no. They explain why they change direction. They explain why they protect their time. But every unnecessary explanation slowly communicates uncertainty. People begin believing your choices require their permission. A peaceful mind understands that not everyone deserves access to your reasons. Silence often carries more authority than endless words. When someone attempts to provoke you, they expect an emotional reaction. They want your frustration because it gives them influence over your mind. But when you remain composed, you deny them that power. Your calmness becomes uncomfortable for those who feed on emotional chaos. They realize they cannot control someone who refuses to abandon inner peace. Self-respect also grows through discipline. Every difficult promise you keep strengthens your character. Waking up when you plan to wake up, exercising when you do not feel motivated, finishing what you started, speaking truthfully even when lying would be easier. These small victories create an invisible confidence. People may never see those private moments, but they will feel their effect whenever they stand in your presence. The strongest presence in any room usually belongs to the person who has mastered themselves. They are not easily offended. They are not desperate for recognition. They do not compete for attention. They move with intention because they know exactly what they value. Their peace cannot be purchased by compliments nor destroyed by criticism. Clears throat many fear being disliked, but this fear creates a life of constant compromise. If you attempt to please everyone, you slowly disappear. Your authentic voice becomes quieter. Your genuine personality becomes hidden behind masks designed to satisfy different people. Eventually, even you forget who you truly are. Ironically, the more you chase acceptance, the less people respect you. Because authenticity always commands more admiration than performance, there will always be individuals who test your limits. Not because they hate you, but because human nature constantly searches for boundaries. Some will interrupt you. Some will dismiss your opinions. Some will take advantage of your generosity. Every response you choose becomes a lesson. If you remain silent out of fear, they learn they can continue. If you explode emotionally, they learn they can control your emotions. But if you calmly reinforce your standards without anger, they learn that your dignity is not negotiable. Respect is rarely won through intimidation. Fear created by aggression disappears the moment someone stronger arrives. But respect rooted in character remains. When people recognize that you cannot be manipulated by guilt, temptation, pressure, or approval, they begin treating you differently. They understand that your peace is protected, your values are firm, and your presence is built upon something that cannot be taken away by another person's opinion. Most people believe power belongs to the person who speaks the loudest, argues the longest, or always has the last word. But if you study truly disciplined people, you will notice something different. They are rarely rushed into speaking. They are not eager to defend themselves against every accusation. They understand that silence is not weakness. It is control, and control is one of the greatest forms of strength a human being can possess. Every time someone insults you, criticizes you, or tries to provoke you, they are presenting you with a choice. You can surrender control of your emotions, or you can remain the master of your own mind. Most people fail this test because they react instantly. They allow anger to make decisions that wisdom never would. They raise their voice, argue endlessly, and spend hours trying to prove themselves right. In doing so, they give their opponent exactly what they wanted: control over their emotional state. Think about water. Throw a stone into a small puddle and the surface becomes chaotic. Throw that same stone into a deep lake and the disturbance disappears almost instantly. The difference is not the size of the stone. The difference is the depth of the water. In the same way, people with shallow emotional discipline are disturbed by every opinion, every insult, and every disagreement. Those who have developed inner depth remain calm because they know their peace is worth protecting. Many people mistake immediate reactions for confidence. They think responding instantly shows strength. But true confidence does not need to rush. It observes first. It understands first. Then it decides whether a response is even necessary. Not every battle deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your explanation. Sometimes the greatest victory is refusing to participate in unnecessary conflict. Silence creates mystery. When you constantly explain yourself, people begin believing they deserve access to every thought and every decision you make. But when you become comfortable with silence, something changes. Others begin wondering what you are thinking instead of assuming they already know. Your words gain weight because they become rare. People listen more carefully because they understand that when you finally speak, your words have purpose. This does not mean ignoring every problem. There are moments when speaking is necessary. There are times when injustice must be confronted and truth must be defended. But even then, your words should come from clarity, not from emotional chaos. A calm voice often carries more authority than an angry shout. People remember the person who remained composed while everyone else lost control. Consider the bamboo tree during a storm. It bends with the wind instead of fighting against it. Because it bends, it survives. The rigid tree often snaps under the same pressure. Emotional flexibility works the same way. You do not have to react to every challenge with force. Sometimes remaining calm is what allows you to endure situations that break others. There are individuals who intentionally provoke others because they enjoy emotional reactions. They seek attention through conflict. They measure their success by how much frustration they can create. If their clear throat can make you angry, they feel powerful. But when you refuse to react emotionally, they lose their influence. They realize they cannot control someone who values inner peace more than temporary satisfaction. One reason silence is difficult is because the human ego constantly demands recognition. It wants to be understood. It wants to be praised. It wants everyone to agree with its perspective. When someone questions you, the ego immediately wants to defend itself. But wisdom understands that not everyone needs to understand your journey. Some people have already decided what they want to believe regardless of what you say. Arguing with them only wastes your energy. Energy is one of your most valuable resources. Every unnecessary argument steals time you could have invested in improving yourself. Every emotional conflict distracts you from your purpose. Highly disciplined people protect their energy carefully. They ask themselves whether a conversation will create growth or simply create more noise. If the answer is noise, they walk away without resentment. Silence also teaches patience. Modern life encourages instant responses. Messages demand immediate replies. Social media rewards quick opinions. People feel pressured to react before they even understand the clear's throat situation. But patience creates better decisions. A few moments of thoughtful silence can prevent years of regret caused by careless words. Your reputation is built not only by what you say, but also by what you refuse to say. Anyone can speak when emotions are high. Very few people can remain calm when they are misunderstood, criticized, or challenged. That ability separates emotionally mature individuals from those controlled by impulse. Imagine two leaders facing the same crisis. One begins shouting, blaming everyone around them, and making emotional decisions. The other listens carefully, remains composed, and responds only after understanding the situation. Which leader inspires more confidence? Which leader would you trust in difficult times? Calmness naturally creates authority because people associate emotional stability with wisdom. Silence also strengthens self-awareness. When you stop reacting immediately, you begin observing your own thoughts. You notice your fears, insecurities, and habits. Instead of allowing emotions to control your behavior, you learn to understand them. This awareness becomes the foundation of emotional mastery. There will always be people who misunderstand your silence. Some will think you are weak because you refuse to argue. Others may assume they have defeated you because you walked away. Let them believe whatever they choose. Their opinions cannot define your character. Real strength is measured by your ability to remain faithful to your principles, not by your ability to win every argument. As your discipline grows, people begin noticing something unusual about you. They realize they cannot manipulate your emotions with insults. They cannot distract you with unnecessary drama. They cannot pressure you into abandoning your values. Your silence becomes a shield protecting your focus, your peace, and your dignity. Eventually, people stop trying to provoke you because they understand they will receive nothing in return except calm confidence and unwavering self-control. One of the greatest misunderstandings about respect is believing that other people are entirely responsible for how they treat you. While every person is accountable for their actions, the standards you consistently enforce shape the behavior you receive. People pay attention to what you tolerate far more than what you say. Every time you ignore repeated disrespect, every time you sacrifice your peace to avoid conflict, every time you allow someone to cross a line without consequence, you are silently teaching them that your boundaries are optional. Imagine a beautiful garden without a fence. No matter how carefully the flowers are planted, people and animals will eventually walk through it because there is nothing protecting it. The problem is not that the flowers lack beauty. The problem is that there is no clear boundary defining what should be respected. Your life works the same way. Your values, your time, your energy, and your peace are like that garden. Without boundaries, they become available to anyone who chooses to take advantage of them. Many people fear setting boundaries because they confuse them with rejection. They worry that saying no will make others dislike them. They believe protecting themselves is selfish. But there is a profound difference between being selfish and practicing self-respect. Selfishness ignores the needs of others. Self-respect simply refuses to ignore your own. Think about the people who seem naturally respected wherever they go. They rarely need to announce their standards. Instead, they live them consistently. If someone speaks to them disrespectfully, they remain calm but refuse to continue the conversation. If someone repeatedly wastes their time, they stop making themselves available. They do not seek revenge. They do not create unnecessary drama. They simply allow consequences to teach lessons that arguments never could. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that love requires unlimited access. Whether in friendships, family relationships, or the workplace, some individuals assume that caring for someone means accepting every form of poor behavior. Over time, resentment quietly grows. The relationship becomes heavier because one person continues giving while the other continues taking. Healthy relationships are not built on endless sacrifice. They are built on mutual respect. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep everyone out. They are gates that allow the right people to enter while preventing the wrong behavior from remaining. People who genuinely care about you will respect your limits even if they do not always understand them. Those who become angry every time you protect your peace often benefited from the absence of your boundaries. There is a reason disciplined people value their time so deeply. Time is the one resource that can never be recovered. Money can be earned again, opportunities may return, but every hour spent pleasing people who do not value you is an hour that cannot be reclaimed. This is why learning to say no is one of the greatest acts of self-respect. Every no to unnecessary demands becomes a yes to your purpose. Many people apologize before expressing a boundary. They say, "I'm sorry, but I can't," even when they have done nothing wrong. Constant unnecessary apologies slowly weaken your confidence because they make your needs appear like inconveniences. There is nothing wrong with speaking kindly, but kindness should never require permission to protect your own well-being. Your body language also communicates boundaries before your words ever do. Walking with confidence, maintaining calm eye contact, and speaking clearly without hesitation all send a message that you value yourself. On the other hand, constantly seeking approval through nervous behavior often invites people to test your limits. Confidence does not come from pretending to be fearless. It comes from knowing that your worth is not dependent on another person's acceptance. There will always be individuals who challenge your boundaries. Some do it intentionally. Others simply act according to habits they have developed with everyone else. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. You do not need to become angry every time someone crosses a line. You simply need to respond the same way every time. Calm consistency eventually teaches people that your standards are not temporary emotions. They are permanent principles. The strongest boundaries are built long before conflict appears. They are established through the small decisions you make every day. Keeping promises to yourself, refusing to compromise your values for convenience, protecting your personal growth, and surrounding yourself with people who encourage rather than drain your energy. All strengthen your ability to maintain healthy limits. Many people remain trapped in unhealthy situations because they fear loneliness more than disrespect. They would rather stay surrounded by people who diminish them than risk standing alone. But solitude is often where true strength is developed. When you become comfortable with your own company, you stop accepting relationships based on fear. You begin choosing people because they add value to your life, not because you need their approval. A powerful truth is that every boundary you establish first transforms you before it transforms anyone else. Each time you protect your peace, your confidence grows. Each time you refuse manipulation, your self-respect deepens over time. Your entire presence changes. You no longer carry the quiet desperation of someone afraid to lose people. Instead, you carry the calm certainty of someone who knows their dignity is more valuable than temporary acceptance. Some people will leave your life when you begin enforcing boundaries. At first, this may feel like a loss, but often snorts and clears throat. It is simply the removal of relationships that depended on your silence rather than your strength. The right people will remain because they appreciate who you are, not because they can control you. When people realize they cannot pressure you into abandoning your values, they begin treating you differently. They understand that your kindness is genuine but not unlimited. Your patience is real but not endless, and your compassion exists alongside unwavering self-respect. They recognize that disrespect always has consequences, not because you seek revenge, but because you refuse to participate in relationships where your dignity is negotiable. Your boundaries become a quiet declaration that your peace, your time, and your character are treasures that must be earned through mutual respect rather than taken for granted. One of the greatest prisons a person can live in is the constant need for approval. It is invisible, yet it controls countless decisions every single day. It tells you to remain silent when you should speak. It convinces you to agree when your heart disagrees. It pushes you to become someone you are not simply because you fear rejection, but the moment you stop living for applause, something extraordinary happens. You become impossible to control. Most people spend their lives chasing acceptance without realizing the price they are paying. They change their personality depending on who is in the room. They hide their opinions to avoid criticism. They laugh at jokes they do not find funny. They say yes when every part of them wants to say no. Slowly, they lose their identity. They become experts at pleasing others while becoming strangers to themselves. Look at the eagle. It does not fly low because the crows dislike its height. It continues rising because its purpose is not determined by the opinions of smaller birds. Human beings often do the opposite. Instead of rising toward their potential, they lower themselves to avoid making others uncomfortable. They mistake fitting in for belonging, but true belonging never requires you to abandon your authentic self. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many believe confidence means speaking loudly, showing off achievements, or proving superiority. But those behaviors usually hide insecurity. A truly confident person has no desire to convince everyone of their worth. They understand that value does not increase because someone praises it, and it does not decrease because someone fails to recognize it. Think of a diamond buried beneath the earth. Whether people know it exists or not, its value remains unchanged. Your character works the same way. Your worth is not determined by likes, compliments, promotions, or public recognition. Those things may reflect appreciation, but they should never become the foundation of your identity. When your confidence depends on external validation, you hand strangers the power to define how you feel about yourself. The danger of approval seeking is that it never ends. No matter how much praise you receive today, tomorrow you will crave more. The applause becomes addictive. The moment it disappears, doubt begins to grow. You start questioning your abilities, your appearance, your decisions, and even your purpose. This emotional dependence keeps you trapped in a cycle where your happiness belongs to everyone except you. Inner confidence is different. It grows quietly through discipline, integrity, and self-respect. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens it. Every difficult decision you make because it aligns with your values strengthens it. Every temptation you resist because you refuse to betray your principles strengthens it. Confidence is not built in front of an audience. It is built in private moments when no one is watching. There will always be people who disagree with your choices. Some will criticize your ambition because it reminds them of their own excuses. Others will question your boundaries because they benefited from your lack of them. Some may even mock your discipline because they lack the courage to develop their own. If your direction changes every time someone disapproves, you will spend your entire life walking in circles. The strongest individuals understand that criticism is unavoidable. Even when you do everything correctly, someone will still misunderstand you. Someone will still judge you. Someone will still dislike you without reason. Trying to satisfy everyone is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. It is impossible. Peace begins when you accept that not every opinion deserves your attention. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. Every stone represents another person's expectation. One person expects you to stay the same. Another expects you to sacrifice your dreams. Another expects you to solve their problems before your own. As long as you keep collecting these expectations, the journey becomes exhausting. But when you finally decide to put the backpack down, you realize how much energy you have been wasting carrying burdens that were never yours. Confidence also changes the way you respond to failure. Approval seekers see failure as proof that they are not good enough because they fear what others will think. Confident people see failure as information. They learn from it, adjust their actions, and continue moving forward. Their identity remains intact because it was never built upon perfection. There is great freedom in becoming comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will appreciate your growth. Some people only like the versions of you that was easier to control. When you begin changing, they may accuse you of becoming distant, arrogant, or selfish. In reality, you are simply becoming more honest about who you are. This honesty creates a powerful presence. You stop chasing attention because you are focused on purpose. You stop comparing your journey because you understand that every person walks a different path. You stop measuring your success by applause because your greatest competition becomes the person you were yesterday. People naturally respect those who respect themselves. They notice when your decisions are guided by principles rather than popularity. They see that compliments do not inflate your ego and criticism does not destroy your confidence. This emotional balance creates trust because others know they are dealing with someone who cannot be easily manipulated. As your confidence grows, your conversations become calmer. You no longer feel the need to interrupt others to prove your intelligence. You no longer exaggerate your achievements to impress people. You no longer defend every decision you make. Instead, you allow your actions to speak. Quiet consistency becomes more persuasive than endless explanation. The most powerful transformation happens within. You begin waking each morning with a sense of direction that is independent of the world's opinion. Your choices become guided by wisdom instead of fear. Your standards become stronger than your desire to be accepted. You discover that the respect you spent years searching for from others was always waiting to grow inside you first. And when people recognize that your confidence comes from an unshakable foundation rather than temporary approval, they understand that your value cannot be negotiated, your identity cannot be manipulated, and your presence cannot be diminished by the opinions of anyone who has never taken the time to master themselves. There is a kind of power that does not come from wealth, titles, physical strength, or popularity. It cannot be purchased, borrowed, or inherited. It is built one decision at a time through quiet discipline. This is the power that makes people think twice before disrespecting you. Not because they fear your anger, but because they recognize something within you that refuses to be shaken. Discipline creates a presence that commands respect without demanding it. Most people admire confidence, but few understand where genuine confidence comes from. It is not born from motivation. Motivation is temporary. It rises and falls with emotions. Some days you feel inspired, and other days you do not. If your actions depend only on how you feel, your character becomes unstable. Discipline is different. It teaches you to act according to your principles instead of your emotions. It reminds you that your future is shaped by consistency, not by occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. Every strike of the hammer seems repetitive. The process appears slow and exhausting, but with each strike the metal becomes stronger, sharper, and more durable. Your daily habits work in exactly the same way. Every morning you wake up on time, every promise you keep to yourself, every temptation you resist, every distraction you overcome is another strike shaping your character. No single action changes everything, but together they create a person who cannot be easily broken. One of the reasons people lose respect is because they are inconsistent. Their words change depending on the situation. Their values disappear when life becomes difficult. Their commitments fade when comfort becomes available. Others never know which version of them will appear, but discipline removes inconsistency. It creates reliability. People begin trusting someone whose actions remain steady, even when circumstances become challenging. The bamboo tree spends years growing roots beneath the ground before it rises rapidly toward the sky. During those early years, it appears as though nothing is happening, yet beneath the surface, an invisible foundation is being built. Your discipline often feels the same. There will be days when no one notices your effort. You may exercise without receiving clear-throat compliments. You may study without immediate success. You may continue improving while others seem to advance faster. But every disciplined action strengthens your foundation, preparing you for opportunities that undisciplined people cannot sustain. Many people search for shortcuts because they want results without transformation. They want confidence without self-control. They want respect without responsibility. They want success without sacrifice. But life does not reward appearances. It rewards preparation. The person who quietly develops discipline every day eventually reaches a point where others mistake years of clear-throat effort for natural talent. Discipline also teaches emotional stability. When life becomes difficult, undisciplined people often abandon their principles. They become controlled by frustration, fear, or comfort. Disciplined individuals continue doing what is necessary even when they do not feel like it. Disability separates temporary winners from lasting leaders. Anyone can remain calm when life is easy. True strength is revealed when challenges arrive. Observe the rising sun. It appears every morning without seeking recognition. It does not negotiate with the clouds. It does not delay because conditions are imperfect. It simply fulfills its purpose with unwavering consistency. Your discipline should become like the sunrise. Whether people notice or not, whether circumstances are favorable or not, you continue showing up for the person you are becoming. Every excuse you overcome weakens the part of your mind that seeks comfort over growth. Every difficult decision strengthens the part of your character that values purpose over pleasure. At first, these victories seem small. Waking up early, finishing what you started, turning off distractions, keeping your word, speaking honestly. But these ordinary actions produce extraordinary results because they shape your identity. One dangerous habit is waiting until you feel ready. Many people postpone meaningful action because they are waiting for confidence, inspiration, or certainty. Discipline teaches a different lesson. Action often creates confidence, not the other way around. The more consistently you honor your commitments, the more deeply you trust yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of genuine confidence. People notice disciplined individuals without always understanding why. It is visible in the way they carry themselves. They do not appear rushed by panic or controlled by impulse. Their decisions have direction. Their conversations have intention. Their presence feels calm because their inner world is organized. This quiet stability naturally attracts respect because it is increasingly rare in a world filled with distraction. Discipline also protects your dignity. When you have trained yourself to master your desires, your emotions, and your habits, other people lose the ability to manipulate you. Flattery no longer blinds your judgment. Criticism no longer destroys your peace. Temptation no longer pulls you away from your values. You become guided by principles instead of impulses. There will always be moments when discipline feels lonely. While others choose comfort, you may choose growth. While others waste time, you may continue building your future. During those moments, remember that greatness is rarely crowded. The path of self-mastery often requires walking where few are willing to go. Yet, every step strengthens the person you are becoming. As discipline becomes part of your identity, fear begins to disappear. You stop fearing rejection because your value comes from your character. Clears throat. You stop fearing failure because every setback becomes another lesson. You stop fearing disrespect because your dignity no longer depends on another person's behavior. The respect you carry within becomes stronger than the opinions surrounding you. This is why disciplined people possess an unshakable presence. They do not need to threaten anyone. They do not need to chase recognition or demand admiration. Their life itself becomes the message. Their consistency earns trust. Their integrity earns credibility. Their calmness earns authority. And when others stand before someone who has mastered their habits, protected their principles, and remained faithful to their purpose through every season of life, they instinctively understand that they are in the presence of a person whose respect cannot be bought, whose standards cannot be lowered, and whose character cannot be shaken by pressure, temptation, or the passing opinions of the world.